President are strictly adhered to in observance but not in breach. And Mr. President, distinguished senators, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. We cannot at one arm seek refuge in these our rules and in another arm seek to gracefully breach the rule. That will tantamount to approbating and reprobating at the same time. So, distinguished senators, I want to specifically quote Order 55, Rule 1. And with the indulgence of the Senate President and my colleagues, I will proceed to read Order 55, Rule 1. At the entry of the presiding officer, all senators, officials, members of the press, and those in the gallery shall stand still until the presiding officer has taken his seat. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I want to report that Senator Natasha has been consistently and persistently in breach of this rule, because as the Senate President and the leadership are entering, she doesn't observe that rule by standing off until the President of the Senate is seated after all the prayers. And it was in the media, all the media yesterday reported that when the Senate President is entering, she didn't observe that rule. And today also, she didn't observe that rule. I have to send one of the sergeant at arms to her that her conduct is in breach of this rule. The sergeant at arms is here. She came and reported back to me that she is not going to stand up, still in breach of this rule. Mr. President, distinguished senators, as I said earlier on, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands. If you are seeking refuge in one arm, under Order 10 always, seeking refuge under Order 10 of these rules, then you must, for all intent and purposes, observe these rules. You cannot be approbating and reprobating at the same time. So I'm encouraging the indulgence of Senator Natasha to please observe our rules strictly in compliance but not in breach. I'm doing that in order to discharge the functions of my office as Chief Whip to ensure that our rules are strictly complied with. And I also create OCHA to, at her later time, study these rules very well so that she will be conversant with the rules of the Senate. If she stands up for the President of the Senate, he is not standing up for the President of the Senate personally, but it is the institution that she is respecting and the office of the Senate President. Tomorrow she will be the Senate President, we don't know. I can be the Senate President tomorrow, inshallah, by the grace of God. And she can be Senate President tomorrow. So it's for the institution, it's not for God's will and Fabio, it's for the institution. So please, Senator Natasha, as my very good friend and colleague, please study these rules very well and then observe, comply with this rule in compliance, not in breach. And thank you very much for agreeing with me by nodding your head. Thank you.
Your point of order.